Being disowned gave me my life back. I was 23 years old when my father stood in our family living room and told me I had exactly 1 week to either end my engagement or lose my entire family forever. My fiancé wasn't from our community, wasn't the same religion, hadn't been pre-approved by generations of family tradition and rigid expectation. None of that mattered more to me than the simple fact that he made me laugh every single day and looked at me like I was actually worth something. So I chose him, and my entire family chose to pretend I was dead. The first year was absolutely brutal. I'd grown up with Sunday dinners where 30 relatives crowded around tables pushed together, birthday parties that lasted entire weekends, a constant safety net of aunts and uncles and cousins who I genuinely thought would always be there no matter what. Suddenly I had no one except my fiancé and his family, who welcomed me warmly with completely open arms, but couldn't erase the specific grief of losing everyone who'd known me since the day I was born. I cried through every holiday that year, called my mother 6 different times before finally accepting she'd permanently blocked my number, drove past my childhood home just to see lights glowing in the windows, wrote heartfelt letters that always came back unopened and unread. The second year I started getting genuinely angry instead of just sad. I slowly realized how much of my entire life had been controlled by fear of exactly this kind of rejection. I'd chosen my college major based entirely on what my father approved of, dated only men my mother had carefully selected, worked at a company my uncle owned because that's simply what family did. Every decision I'd ever made was filtered through the question of whether it would disappoint them somehow. Without that constant filter, I had to figure out who I actually was as an individual person. It was terrifying and also completely liberating in ways I never expected. I went back to school for something I actually cared about, made genuine friends who liked me for myself, not my family connections, started therapy to finally work through 2 decades of conditional love disguised as cultural tradition. Year 3, I landed my absolute dream job. Year 4, my husband and I bought our first house together. Year 5, we had our beautiful daughter. I sent exactly 1 birth announcement to my parents. It came back with return to sender written clearly in my father's handwriting. That was the last time I ever tried reaching out. My daughter is 7 years old now, and she's never met a single person from my side of the family. She asks sometimes why she only has 1 set of grandparents. I tell her that families aren't always the people you're born to. Sometimes they're the people who choose you completely without conditions attached. Last month, something unexpected happened. My younger brother reached out through a fake social media account he'd created secretly. He'd finally turned 18 and immediately moved out of our parents' house. Said he'd been watching my life from a careful distance for years and was finally ready to make his own choices. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our cities. I barely recognized him as a grown man, but I'd know his familiar smile anywhere. He told me our parents had forbidden anyone from even mentioning my name out loud. Told distant relatives I'd actually died, rather than admit I'd simply married someone they disapproved of. Created an entire elaborate fiction to avoid acknowledging that I existed, and was genuinely happy with my choices. He said watching them lie about me so casually for years made him question absolutely everything they'd ever taught him about loyalty and honor and family. If disowning your own daughter was considered honorable, he wanted no part of that so-called honor. We talked for 6 straight hours that first meeting. He met my husband and daughter the very next week. My little girl now has an uncle who drives 4 hours just to attend her school plays. The rest of my biological family remains complete strangers. I've accepted that might never change. But here's what being disowned actually taught me. The people who love you conditionally aren't really loving you at all. They're loving their rigid idea of who you should be. And the moment you deviate from that image, their love evaporates like it never existed. Real love doesn't come with ultimatums, doesn't require you to shrink yourself into acceptable shapes, doesn't disappear because you made 1 choice that disappointed someone else's expectations. My daughter will grow up knowing she's loved for exactly who she is. That's worth every painful holiday.